Welcome to Under the Lights Football Podcast, episode number 2. Looking back on episode number 1, Coach Daugherty and I saw some mistakes that we made, and we want to fix those, and we want to come up with some more interesting topics. We're going to review your comments and questions, and we're going to have another episode reviewing everything we talked about from episode number 1 with answering all of that. Coach Daugherty, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you guys for tuning in with us last week. I believe we had about 70 views, which we're really, really satisfied, especially for our very, very first podcast. And again, we're just getting used to this thing, trying to get our stuff set up to where we can feel more comfortable. And, last week we were real nervous, and I think this week we're feeling a little bit better about ourselves. So, but one thing, before we get into this episode, one thing that stood out to me from last year that will kind of introduce this episode is it was a game day, and I forget which week it was, but you told me, or I came up to you and I said, what can we do to get ready for this opponent? And you said, well, if you're not ready by now, we're not going to be. And what that told me, and that stuck with me, is there's a lot for us to go into planning Sunday through Thursday. And both physically and mentally for these kids, not only the kids, but ourselves. So we need to make sure we're doing our jobs preparing these kids so that they're ready to go on Friday. And one of those things that we want to play a key emphasis on this year is injury prevention. I know last year we began to get a little thin. We didn't have much depth. People were getting banged up. One thing we want to focus on is keeping these kids as healthy as possible so that they can perform at their highest level. So today on the show, and even this year, we're lucky to have Dr. Kevin Osborn with us. He is a chiropractor at Smith & Jones Chiropractic in Dunbar, West Virginia, and he's going to help us this year really assess the needs of our kids and our student athletes to where they can perform at a higher level and they can stay on the field longer. So here's Dr. Kevin Osborn.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Any chance that I get to spread the word of chiropractic care, injury prevention, especially in young athletes, I always jump at that opportunity just because I feel like it's something that not a lot of people think about. It's not usually in the social norm, chiropractic care for especially injury prevention. So I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to answering some of your questions and telling you a little bit about chiropractic.
Thanks, Dr. Osborn. One of the things that this is all kind of new to me because we haven't had a chiropractor on staff. Now, we've had team doctors. And a lot of times, as doctors in training, going through med school and getting their hands on some of the athletes. But how would chiropractic care benefit an athlete in the off season, rather than rehabbing an injury?
Well, chiropractic kind of has its place in all types of sports. But before I actually get into that, I think it would actually help, our listeners to kind of understand what chiropractic care really is. A lot of people look at chiropractic care as, okay, my back hurts, my neck hurts, so I'm going to go to a chiropractor and they're going to, quote unquote, air quotes here, pop me, and I'm going to feel better, kind of just like cracking my knuckles. But actually, there's so much more in-depth stuff to chiropractic. The philosophy of chiropractic is, first of all, we don't cure anything. Chiropractors do not cure anything. We adjust the body so that the body in and of itself can maintain itself and heal itself, which is exactly how the body was made to do. So, for instance, if you come in with severe, if you have a football player that comes in with like a hip flexor, a hip flexor injury, adductor, abductor muscles, something like that, and they come to us and say that they're hurting really bad. Well, we'll adjust them, and they'll open that joint up, and they'll feel a little bit better. So,
yes, and I know there's a lot of misinformed people about chiropractics, and from what I understand, compared to other medicine, is that it's kind of a new type of medicine, and I kind of want to know. And we're learning, me and Coach Johnson are learning about this as we go as well. Right. And we kind of want to know where did it come in? Like what made, chiropractic medicine part of somebody's regular checkup?
Well, chiropractic care in and of itself is preventative medicine, okay? So all too often we see patients in our office, and other chiropractors do, I'm sure, as well, see patients that can literally barely walk into the office. They wait until they cannot do anything. They can't perform their activities of daily living. They can't go to work. They can't play sports. So we basically, in a nutshell, have to essentially resurrect them back to where they need to be. And, if people looked at chiropractic care as preventative medicine, which it is, look at it like this. So, for instance, you go to, let's say you have high cholesterol, okay? You have high cholesterol, and you go in, and the doctor says, well, you've got high cholesterol. We're going to give you this prescription medication, okay? So, without blinking an eye, you're going to take that high cholesterol medication because you think it's going to cause your cholesterol to go down. Well, that's kind of the same with spinal care as a chiropractor. You come in and we tell you, hey, you've got an injury. We're going to assess this. We're going to examine you, do x-rays and what we need to do, and then we'll adjust you and do other modalities and therapies and get you feeling better. But then after that, you kind of got to stay on a regimen a little bit and then turn it into maintenance care and preventative care.
So from there, is it safe to say it's more of a natural remedy than a medication type?
Oh.
Do y'all believe in medication, or is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So there's this principle that we learn in school, especially at Palmer. It's one of the principles that states that there is limitations of matter. And what that means is, for instance, if you come in with an injury and I can't fix you, if it looks in a few weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is usually the protocol. If I cannot fix you, then I will do my duty as a physician to send you to the proper place that needs it. So if you need pain medication, if you need an antibiotic for people who come in for ear infections, which we have all the time, we will assess you and send you to the proper place. We're not out to, as chiropractors, we're not out to say that we can fix one, at least I'm not. I can't speak for all chiropractors, but I'm not out to say I'm going to fix 100% of everything. But yeah, absolutely. We believe in medication. There are limitations to chiropractic, just like there's limitations to orthopedic surgery, or there's limitations to a family physician. Anybody that goes to the family physician for low back pain, you're going to get put. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, they have a protocol that they go by. Well, here's some muscle relaxers. Here's some 800 milligram ibuprofen, and we'll go from there. Well,
I have a scenario for you because this is kind of new to me too. I was about 26 years old before I went to a chiropractic for a first time. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't know what to expect when I went in. I knew, obviously, the cracking, the popping of the bones, but I didn't know that you all did as much as you did in terms of, getting things lined up so that, a certain part of your body wouldn't work. I didn't know that it actually, worked like that, kind of hand in hand. But last year we had an athlete who was he was running the ball a lot at one point in the year, pretty good running back, and he had a great game one week where he had the second longest touchdown catch in school history. So he's running 86 yards, I think it was, and right after he caught the ball again and took a long run. I think he ended up having over 100 yards rushing as well. What I'm getting at is he used his legs a lot that game.
Sure.
And so, the weeks continue to where he was the main guy, just about. And he started having some back problems where, it got to the point where his lower back hurt so bad that we limited his touches. Mm-hmm. And so, just being honest, I didn't even think chiropractic. But chiropractic could have helped him, because I thought it was more of a muscle thing where we were working stretches every day. And I'm sure that helped, but could chiropractic care helped him in that situation?
Oh, I believe that it could have, absolutely. You have pain for several reasons, especially in athletes, especially young athletes. You have to remember, young athletes are still growing, okay? Their bones are still growing, their joints are still, spreading, their muscles are still growing, they're getting taller, they're getting heavier. Things are constantly changing. So, if you had sent them to me, what I would have done, I would assess them. And you have reasons for pain. Invariably, you have two basic reasons. One, your muscles get so locked up, or you have a muscle injury that your spine locks up. Or you have a spine issue to where your spine locks up and it holds those muscles really taut and tight to where, it feels like you pulled a muscle or you have an ache and pain. And, and on top of chiropractic, on top of adjusting, chiropractors are well-versed in a lot of progressive modalities as far as electrical stimulation, ultrasound, massage therapy. A lot of chiropractors have massage therapists in their office. I know we have 5 actually in our office. So, yeah, I believe we could have helped him. And who's to say that if he wasn't under chiropractic care in the first place, he would have gotten that way? The point of chiropractic care, I mean, there's so many studies out. And let me just mention this one study real quick. There's a study out. I can't exactly remember where it is, so don't quote me. But Olympic athletes, first of all, every athlete, every football team, NFL football team, has a chiropractor on staff. Okay, why is that? To prevent them from having injury. It's proven that chiropractic care can help prevent injury, and in case of an injury, it can speed up the healing process as well. So the study that I'd like to mention real quick is, I believe it might have been in England, but they surveyed several Olympic weightlifters, and they found that after an adjustment, they could lift 2% more heavier than they could have without an adjustment. Now, can I completely 100% explain that? Not right here without research in front of me, but that goes to show that chiropractic care can do an awful lot in preventative medicine and in injury rehabilitation.
That was actually going to be my next question was, we're talking about injury, but it can also improve our performance on the field as well. We keep these guys on the field, obviously, in turn helps us as a team. Mm-hmm. But we have healthy kids not necessarily getting hurt, but it can also help their performance as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So chiropractic care, as you get older, you lose elasticity. A lot of kids in between the ages of 14 and 18, which is usually what high school kids' age are, they're pretty mobile, and they usually stay pretty active. But chiropractic care improves, especially in people who run a lot, your running backs, your wide receivers, people who have to move, really agile with the cut moves and things, and lateral movements. It improves agility. It improves mobility. Like I said, it speeds up healing time. It improves the height of which they can jump because when you get an adjustment, okay, everything starts working in tune with each other, right? You have nerves in your body that if something's being cut off from a vertebra that is tweaked one way or another, spinal manipulation through chiropractic care can open that up. Think of it like a water hose, okay? You lay a water hose straight out into your yard and you turn the water on full blast. That water is going to flow 100%. You're not going to have a problem. But you step on it, okay? It's going to flow, but it's going to be, really rigid. It's going to be really intermittent. And then you finally end up kinking it, right? Completely just closing it off halfway up the hose, and it doesn't work anymore. And that's how we look at things with chiropractic care. We just restore the body to its optimal potential, as you said in your opening. Injury prevention. You want your athletes to perform 110%. Okay, and without chiropractic care, can they do that? Yes, more than likely, especially at this young age. However, they're not going to do it as long, and they're not going to do it as often, and they're not going to be able to keep up with it.
So why do people always say there is, for as long as we've had chiropractic, you would think we would have some hard evidence and hard-based research that will say it 100% works. It contributes to chiropractic care. Mm-hmm. What is stopping us from having this hard evidence? And that's just a question that I've had is why can't we get this hard evidence for the success of chiropractics?
Well, there's a lot of evidence out there. For instance, Gallup just did a poll. I mean, you've heard every time an election comes out, you see Gallup poll. This Gallup poll says this person's going to win, blah, 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 blah. Well, Gallup just came out last year with a study that shows, chiropractic is known, I think it's like only 37% of people in the country use chiropractic care as their first line for back pain. But that's just how many people use it. For instance, the American Pain Society, the American College of Physicians, Spine Journal, European Spine Journal, they all recommend, through studies, 100% recommend chiropractic as the first primary place you should go for low back pain and for disc bulge, and to take the pressure off, because that's essentially what it is, and that's usually why you hurt. So the research is out there. You just don't see it really mainstream, because if I can speak just my opinion real quick,
absolutely,
and I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. Okay, recently I think the World Health Organization said that 5% of 5% of the population in the United States. How am I supposed to say this? Let's see. The United States makes up 5% of the world's population, essentially. Half of the United States, roughly, is on medications. Okay, whether that's for pain or not, it is what it is. But we're 37th in health, right, in the world. Okay? So am I saying that if everyone was under chiropractic care, everybody would just be completely healthy? I'm not saying that. But I would like to see how that would look, because, I think we're all kind of getting tired of the stuff we deal with all the time in the area.
That is very interesting to me, because I know, being in West Virginia, it is we all know, and we are all aware that we have a problem with drugs. We are in an opioid epidemic right now, and I know West Virginia is not the only state dealing with this, but we are one of the worst. And I would love to see how much the percentage came from being put on this pain medication as, I'm just put them on pain medication, they'll be okay. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see, and I know it's probably impossible to figure that out, but how much stemmed from being put on that medication. So I think it's very interesting that chiropractors should absolutely be that first line of defense. And if that's not the problem, then you can send them somewhere else. And that's what I like about it, because y'all will send them to places that they need to see. And, and I know, speaking for myself, in high school, I was hurt before a game, and it was a big game. And I went to see a chiropractor, and I played that same day. I know that it helped me. I got that electrotherapy that you was talking about. Mm-hmm. I got a massage, and I got adjusted. And I think it was some type of a pinched nerve in my lower back. And I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to play. And lo and behold, I played that same day. And not only that same day, but the rest of the year without making another, return back. Like, it helped me that much as far as being ready to go. And, this is where because I knew a couple people in chiropractics even before you got into it, because I've known you my whole life. So it really helped me. I can definitely attest to that as well.
Right. And, absolutely. Because essentially, a lot of chiropractors say we turn the lights on, right? Everything's run by your nervous system. Everything's run by your brain. If something is not working 100% to its optimal level, there's going to be a flickering light somewhere, okay? There's going to be a skip in the electrical wiring in your body. So, with the adjustment to the proper location, the proper way, we turn it back on, and we put your body back to its optimal potential. Now, what you do with that after is totally up to you. We do our job, and then we tell you what to do at home. And if you don't do it, honestly, that's kind of on you.
One question I have is I teach weightlifting and like some PE style classes, and some of the students in my classes are not very likely to participate. And sometimes I see that like they may have a limp, or they're kind of like one leg's longer than the other, and I'm just saying that because they like drag their feet. But what I'm kind of wondering is if maybe they do have an injury at a young age, and it is painful for them to participate in physical activity. So I guess my question is, like, how young should you be? Like, should you be getting checked out to make sure everything's lined up and you're growing well?
Well, the biggest, man, I can get in pretty deep with that one.
Sure.
But I'll try to keep it to the minimum.
It's your show, Doc.
Oh, thanks, appreciate that. I have 2 children, okay, 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. They were both adjusted within 3 days of their life.
As babies,
okay?
Wow.
Why? Because birth is very traumatic to a child, okay? Especially C-section, honestly. Because, they don't get essentially lined out coming out of the, birth canal, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody knows how the birthing process works, but If not, I can explain that too. Whatever you want me to do. But no, it's hard. How am I going to say this? In an area to which you do not see a lot of preventative medicine, which is where we are at as a country mostly, but especially in our area in West Virginia, it's hard for me to walk up to somebody and say, "Oh, well, you look perfectly healthy. You should get your spine checked," right? They're not gonna be like, "Oh, absolutely, let me get right on that," right? But I can walk up to the same person and say, "Well, you look absolutely healthy. You should take this multivitamin." "Oh, well, absolutely, that's going to help." "Why are you going to take that multivitamin?" "Well, because the doctor said it would help." "Well, how come you're not going to get adjusted?" "Well, I'm not sure that would work," right? Chiropractic is something that everyone should experience, and there's, like I said before, there's limitations of matter. There's people that should not get chiropractic care, people with severe herniated discs in certain areas, chiropractic care won't, in my opinion, probably won't touch that, so we refer out, we do our due diligence, and we do what we need to do. But as far as, kids, I feel like teenagers especially should see a chiropractor, at least get a spinal screening. All too often kids go undiagnosed with scoliosis. They used to do the bend over and let me feel your back in school, right? It's called the Adams position test. And that's not really accurate. You can really see it through x-ray, and if they've been having pain, for instance, scoliosis, just something as general as scoliosis, which everybody knows, it's the S curve, right? It can lead to, depending on how severe it is, it can lead to heart trouble. It can lead to bowel trouble. It can lead to lung issues, pulmonary issues. So, and growth issues too. Growth plates in your body close at certain times. And sometimes with scoliosis and other malformative stuff, it becomes an issue. And people should be, in my opinion, just as willing to go see a chiropractor as for their child as they should going to a pediatrician.
So a few questions to just bounce off that. So chiropractic should not just be, "Oh, I'm hurting, I need to go see a chiropractor one time, get adjusted, and not return." It is something that somebody should consider going on a regular basis. And if so, how often do you suggest going to see a chiropractor?
Well, as far as treatment plans, personally, I don't do treatment plans. I go based upon how the patient's feeling, how they're moving, how their activities of daily living have progressed, how they're telling me they're feeling, and what I see objectively and hear from them subjectively when they come in. But everyone should try. Let me put it this way: if you come in with an issue, okay, no matter what it is, and you're really hurting. Let's say you're barely hurting. Let's say I want to nip this. You come in and say, "I want to nip this in the bud, and I want to go to a chiropractor and get my neck fixed because it's tweaked a little bit and it's hurting just when I wake up." So we bring you in, we do X-rays, we check out what's going on, we figure it out, and we adjust you, and you go home and you're feeling a little bit better. So you tell yourself, "Well, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better," but the doctor told you that you probably should come back in 2 days just to get another adjustment, but you don't. And then several weeks later, after it stops feeling a little bit better and you're hurting again, what's the first thing you're going to think? "Oh my gosh,
that didn't work."
That chiropractor that didn't work, right? People have those bad experiences all the time, right? But are you going to say that all chiropractic is bad because you didn't get fixed after they specifically told you to come back for their treatment plan?
So it's patient by patient, and sometimes it's, for the time being, it's a temporary fix to where it's helpful and beneficial to where they have a pain and they probably need to come in a little bit more than other people.
Right. See, the way I see it is this: your body. Let's say you've never been to a chiropractor. Coach Johnson, let's say you've never been to a chiropractor. Now, you said you were there at 26 years old was the first time you went to a chiropractor. Okay. Let's say you've never been before, and you come in. And I tell you that I'm going to go over these X-rays with you, and then we'll get you fixed up, get you adjusted, and get you feeling better a little bit, and get you out of here. You'll be like, "Oh, okay, sweet. I'm going to do that. That's pretty awesome. I hope I feel better." So then I go over the x-rays, I adjust you, and I go over my little spiel like I do with several patients, not all of them. But the spiel that I usually give is, now, your body has the things that you've done to your body over time, the things you put into your body, the things you've done with your body, football, baseball, basketball, whatever sport you played, has put your body in this position. I'm going to try and put it back where it needs to go, okay? And after that, you're going to need to come back in because it's going to go back out, okay? You're going to lose that adjustment because of the things that you do. Your body knows how you are, okay? You know your body better than anybody, and your body knows you better than anybody. So if you have been, malpositioned at C7 and your neck's been hurting for months and months because of an injury, then one adjustment's not going to do it. But it's just hard to follow that treatment plan and protocol because people are so quick to want something that is just snap, done.
There's a couple of things that come to mind when you're talking about when they should stop coming, how often they should go. Just from personal experiences is when I was told I needed to go to a chiropractor, I was a little uneducated and wasn't really sure what all you were going to do, which is kind of scary at times because some people don't like their bones pop. Another thing is kind of like the negative perception that chiropractors get, because when I told people I'm going to chiropractor, they're like, "Oh, you're going to pay somebody to go pop your bones? I can do that for you." And then the third thing I think about it is kind of like the money. So like I have pretty good insurance. I think it's about 80-20 is what I had to pay when I saw you, which meant it was about a $20 copay, and so that may be something that's preventing people to see a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. Those are just some things that come to my mind, maybe why they don't sit. But the insurance does cover it, so obviously it is a medical procedure that they're willing to pay for, so it must be important. Sure. But let's talk a little bit about your plans for the football team this year, and what are you going to do with the football team in terms of treating injuries?
Well, I would approach them like any other patient. I plan on, prayerfully, nobody gets injured, right? That would be the greatest thing. So I'd like to do a spinal analysis of each of them prior to tell them what I see is wrong before they start hitting people real hard and start getting really deep into it. That way we can try and prevent some of it, right?
So you can do physicals now, sports physicals, and you're also going to give them a pre-season screening.
Sure,
kind of like a concussion baseline test.
Yeah, we do sports physicals. Sure, absolutely. And with the spinal screening, spinal analysis, I would just take a look at them, assess them as best I can here in the facility, and if I see something more serious that I feel needs addressed, I would perhaps call them into my office or have you set up an appointment or talk to their parents about it and go from there, because our main goal, I think all three of us can agree to this, is to keep injuries down and win football games.
And sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
So I've had to physically take people to the trainer because I know they're injured, but they don't want to go to the trainer because he's going to sit them out or they may have to miss a game. So, like, how would you handle a situation where you think there may be something that needs adjusted that could cause an injury, but they won't come to see you? They're kind of dodging you, or they won't show up to the appointment you set.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do my best to work with them. Obviously, it would be the best thing for them, and just like a athletic trainer as well, would be the best thing for them to go see them if they're really injured, right? But kids are kids, and they're hard-headed, and if they think they're going to get sat out of the game and sat out of something that they love, then they're not going to come to me. So you got to do what you got to do, and just do it to the best of our ability and best of our knowledge, and hopefully they listen, because kids are hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, kind of stubborn. But like you said, we pray obviously nobody gets hurt, but it's almost inevitable. But instead of injury, we talked a little bit about performance earlier. So let's talk a little bit. We talked earlier in the year about probably you're going to be coming in around Thursdays. Performance-wise, are these kids? What can you do for these kids? What will help them perform to that their optimum level, that 110% that we talked about? Because that's pregame, and that's a very important night. And we tell them to carb up, get a lot of fluids in them. But what can you do for our kids that night to help them perform to their optimum level?
Well, I'd hope to get in just before that night too, because they play on Friday nights,
Yes.
right? It's Friday
Yes.
night lights, right? So, I'd hope to get in a little bit before that and kind of assess them. I'm kind of big into weight training as well. Trying to get them to do the proper weight technique and lifting the proper way so as to avoid injury and to better utilize their assets and their skills and their abilities and their knowledge of the sport and weightlifting so they can perform better. So aside from just chiropractic, I hope to get involved in a little bit of that as well, because all too often, and I'm not saying that anybody does this, I'm saying all too often kids like to see how much they can lift, right? And it's not always the greatest, especially, for instance, linemen, right? So we want linemen to push off real quick, right? We want them to push off.
Yeah.
We want explosive movements. Is it going to help them, in my opinion, is it going to help them to say that they can bench 350, 400 pounds? I don't believe so, right? It helps their strength, absolutely. But we want that quick movement, right? In my opinion. So, but I'm not a strength and conditioning coach by any means. But I would definitely, and back to the chiropractic thing real quick, I would definitely assess their spine and their joints.
Like, is that an every week thing, or would you manipulate them pre-game every week to help to relieve, to help loosen them up? I guess, like, we talk about our best players. We obviously want them to perform to their best potential.
Right.
So will you meet with them individually and realign them to where they can perform at that level?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. And, I don't adjust. There's some people out there that adjust no matter what. If somebody doesn't need it, then I'm not going to do it,
Yeah.
It's my opinion and my professional opinion that if we get the right adjustment and their body accepts the adjustment, then they're going to hold it and they're going to feel better and they're going to perform better. Like I said, agility, mobility improves 100%.
Now, we can talk about this a lot, and there's a lot that goes into this for us, for you, for regular patients, not just student athletes and teenagers. But if a coach comes up to us, a coach from a different school, and they see our performance, we're staying healthier, we're better than last year, we look better, and what can you say to us to tell them that chiropractics, maybe isn't 100% involved in this, but what do you think is the most beneficial part to help these kids and to help them perform at that level? So I guess what I'm saying is, how can we help people, other coaches, other patients know that, okay, this is the real deal. This isn't no joke. This isn't a gimmick.
Sure. Well, I think the proof's in the pudding, as they say, right? So if they go out there and they perform better, and they look healthier, they act healthier, they perform healthier, they're faster, they're stronger, they're bigger. It's not. If I adjust somebody, I don't take this the wrong way, but if I adjust your entire team and they go out and win a game, it's not 100% because it's chiropractic. Just as if I adjust your whole team and they go out and lose the game, it's not because of chiropractic.
Yeah.
All right? It's the same deal there, all right? So, my job as a chiropractor is to make sure everyone's as healthy as they can be from their spine so they can perform at their optimal level.
Okay.
100%.
And I kind of wanted to just set that baseline to say,
So you can tell the other coaches, we've got Dr. Osborn.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
obviously, this is pretty sweet.
Exactly.
We'll see how we do this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one of the questions that I want to know so I can tell other people is like, all the teams that I've coached, this is my 10th team that I've coached, there's never been a chiropractor on staff. Mm-hmm. So do you think this, you talking to your colleagues, do you think this is something that will be a part of a football team in the future?
I hope it is. Like I said earlier, every NFL team has a chiropractor. Every professional golfer has a chiropractor. Every basketball team has a chiropractor, professional and college.
So something's going right.
Something's going right,
Exactly.
absolutely. Fun fact, Aaron Rodgers' dad, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, is a chiropractor. Okay?
You've probably met him before, haven't you? You met him before?
Never. I would love to, though. Aaron Rodgers is my favorite player. I'll just throw that out there.
Maybe he's listening.
Maybe.
Yeah. If you're listening, Aaron, I miss you and I love you so much.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he contributes and attributes chiropractic care from his dad as to why he's so successful. I mean, Tiger Woods says that he wouldn't have won as many if it wasn't for his chiropractor. Every athlete.
And these are some of the top athletes in every single sport, just from what you're
100%.
naming. And Aaron, if you're listening, if you ever want to come on the show, you're always welcome.
Right, and I'll be here for that as well.
We can't pay anything, but you're welcome.
Right.
All right, 2-minute offense. Here you go. So there's been a lot of negative speculation on podcasts with Joe Rogan and everything he's saying about chiropractors. Here's your chance. Prove him wrong, prove him right.
Well, I mean, some of the things he said were correct. I will say that, okay? For instance, he said something to the effect that MDs, medical doctors, don't talk about spinal care. That's 100% true. They don't talk about spinal care very often as a preventative medicine because chiropractors, ironically, are the best to speak about that subject. It's very important as you age for chiropractic care.
I don't talk about basketball. I don't know anything about basketball. That's why I don't talk about it.
Right, absolutely. But you would think a doctor would know something about a spine, period, right? You would think that, right? So, and he was correct in saying that a bulge or a herniation, he had a disc bulge, that can cause nerve compression and it can cause tingling, numbness down the arms if it's in your neck. It can cause it down your butt and your legs, sciatica if it's in your low back. But like I mentioned before, the very first place that a lot of places say to go, American College of Physicians, American Pain Society, yada, 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 they recommend chiropractors first as the primary place to go for disc bulges. Now, let me say this also. It is not fair of a person to umbrella a whole group of people under one bad experience. I don't know anything about his case. I don't know anything about how he was treated. I don't know anything about any of that. Okay, 100% don't know anything. However, I will say that if I go into a doctor's office, let's say I go into a family physician, okay, and let's say I go into a podiatrist, okay, we'll say a podiatrist, and they do something to my foot and tell me I need to do this. They put me on a pain medication for gout, and that pain medication causes some really big issue. Is it fair of me to say all podiatrists are crazy?
Absolutely not. And there's a lot of cases that this goes with everything. Football coaches, there's always a bad experience. Doesn't make all the coaches bad.
Right. But it's easy to pick on chiropractic, I feel like, because it's not a mainstream, it needs to be a mainstream medical asset or form of medicine, but it's not. And it's easy to pick on that because, we don't, we look at the body as a whole. The body, in my opinion, God created the body to heal itself. We do our best to put it back where it needs to be so it can heal itself properly. As I said in the beginning, we do not cure anything, but we put the body back where it needs to be so it can heal itself to the best of its ability. So as far as Joe Rogan goes, I like the guy. I'll be honest with you. I listened to his podcast. I think he's pretty cool. He really did awesome on Fear Factor when he choked that dude out.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to umbrella when he said 98% of chiropractic is BS, right? I completely disagree with that. But I've been through the training. It's not fair of me to say 98% of show hosting is BS.
What are the 2%? What are the 2% doing differently?
Spinal manipulation is what he was talking about.
Okay.
He said that's pretty much the only thing that he thinks. He said, but a primary care physician can go in and do spinal manipulation. And he was arguing that chiropractors shouldn't be called doctors. That was his main argument. And again,
well, okay. On that note, just real quick, just let me make this note real quick. Chiropractor, we have a doctorate level education, just as anyone else. 5.5 academic years is what we go post-grad, okay?
That's a lot of years.
Post-undergrad, okay? So, it's a heck of a course, I'll say that. But let's say a dentist, right? I have some dentist friends, they went through the same amount of schooling, 4 years, but they didn't go to, I'm doing air quotes here, you're going to watch me, medical school, right? MD school, right? They didn't go through the proper thing, but they're doctors. You're not going to go into your dentist and say, well, you're not a real doctor, so I don't want you working on my teeth. You're not going to go to someone who has a PhD in chemistry and call them Mr. Smith when, in fact, they've earned the doctorate, right? So I don't know what a real doctor is, but all I know is that 100% of the time we do our best, especially where I'm at, to help people. And it might not get 100% results all the time, but we do our due diligence by the patient, and we send them where they need to go if we can help them. But 8-9 times out of 10, we can help you, especially with the issues that you think you need to go somewhere else for.
And again, I think, Coach, you have any more questions for Dr. Osborn?
I don't.
We really want to thank Dr. Osborn for being on the show with us. I think it's even for us to learn, because you're going to be with us all year. I think it's very important that we understand what we're getting as well in you as a chiropractor for the team. How it's going to help us. And I'm looking forward to it and seeing what you can do. And viewers, we want to thank you again for listening. And if you have any questions for Dr. Osborn, I'm sure I haven't asked him, but I'm sure he would love to come back on and answer any questions you guys might have. We love feedback, and that's what this is all about. This is about networking with you guys and seeing what the answers you want, because these are the answers we want. And we kind of want to know what the viewers have for us. How can we make the show better? This is your guys' show as well as ours, because we're wanting to learn from it as well. So please give all the feedback that you can, and we really appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Dr. Osborn. I will also include your information in the description box, and Coach Daugherty, myself as well. Please share and leave comments. From what I understand, that's really how we get noticed on iTunes is the ratings and the comments. We want to make this thing good for all the coaches. It's just coaches' education.
Yep.
Again, thanks for listening.